Hello and welcome back to Activate Phoenixville's second episode of Community Wellness Champions. My name is Annie Rubino, a proud member of APA, a community wellness coalition committed to fostering healthier lifestyles in the Phoenixville community. Its health and wellness opportunities and events have touched and changed the lives of many in our community. Activate's initiatives have instilled a sense of well-being in students, families, and beyond. Community Wellness Champions is aimed to recognize individuals who have shined in the areas of health and wellness and encourage others to follow in their courageous footsteps. I'm honored today to introduce our second champion, Abby Reich. Abby is an inspirational woman who motivated herself to change her life by improving her health and wellness through mind, body, and spirit. Her story has inspired us so greatly that we wanted to share it with all of you. Abby is a gracious lover of life who serves as a role model to people across the country. She was a high school teacher who led her speech team to multiple state championships and was voted Teacher of the Year in 2003. However, in the midst of inspiring students to achieve their personal best, she faced an unfathomable tragedy in 2006 when she lost her husband, 5-year-old daughter, and 2-week-old son in a fatal car crash. This tragedy forced Abby to choose how she would like to go on in life. And like the true role model she is, Abby chose to forge ahead, graduating her master's program with a 4.0 grade point average and spreading a message of hope and positivity to people across America. But her courageous efforts don't stop here. In 2009, Abby bravely embarked on a new public journey when she chose to challenge herself to heal and improve her health and wellness on NBC's The Biggest Loser. She originally weighed in at 247 pounds, and despite many obstacles along the way, including a stress fracture, she lost 46 pounds on the show. She continued this journey to ultimate wellness upon her return home and lost an additional 54 pounds to weigh in at 147 pounds. In the face of great tragedy, Abby chose to continue forward and share her story to inspire others through her strength and hope, as well as improve her own well-being. Abby's courageous efforts have inspired us as well as millions across the country. We are so grateful to have Abby Reich here today with us to recognize her as our second Community Wellness Champion. I would also like to welcome Shannon Mannon, coordinator of Activate Phoenixville area and our host of today's show. If you would like to nominate a champion, please contact Shannon via email at info@activatephoenixvillearea.org.
Hi, and welcome to Activate Phoenixville Area Presents Community Wellness Champions. We are so excited today to have Abby Reich with us. We're really lucky that we have a celebrity in our midst today, so this is thrilling for us. Abby, I'm so grateful for your time and for you being here.
I'm so glad to be here.
Thank you. I read your book, Working It Out: A Journey of Love, Loss, and Hope,
Yes.
and I hope I got that right. And your story is incredible. It was a beautiful portrait of the family that you lost, your husband Rick and your daughter Macy and son Caleb, and I just keep thinking about what a testament that is to their lives, that they'll always, be remembered and memorialized and honored in this book. And I thought that was so beautiful. And the journey that you came from in this story really talks about, the things that you fought for, and you just wrote about it in such a way that was so vivid. And I think it earned you my respect, and I think the respect of everyone, because you've been in some of the hardest and darkest places that I think most of us could ever imagine, and have built this incredible life from that. So I just want to thank you for being here. It means you've become like a hero almost to me personally, and I think too, I'm just really fortunate that we can share your story with our community.
Thank you.
So I guess just to start, you've had a really busy couple years. There was your The Biggest Loser, then your book, and now you're here in Phoenixville as part of the Phoenixville Hospital's Healthy Women Anniversary event.
Yes.
So I just wanted you to tell us kind of how you got here and what your journey's been like.
It's been such a journey. It's one of those things. I was a high school teacher for 13 years, and then following the wreck, I took a year off and got my master's degree and stayed really busy, and then found myself on this crazy reality television show. But for me, it was not so much about weight loss as it was about living again. Mm-hmm. And so it was that health journey for me that really kind of catapulted me to having life again. And then we did do the book, and then now I have the opportunity to go around and share my story. And my goal is always that people that are hurting and in hard places know that you can know joy again.
Yeah.
And that's what keeps me going.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I can't wait to hear what we talk about tonight at our event. One of the things that stuck out to me as I was highlighting your book was when I've handed it to other people, and I'm like, sorry. You give a really kind of nuanced explanation about striving to be the best you can be, but also accepting yourself for who you are. And I just was something I know I personally struggle with. So I didn't know if you could kind of talk about what that meant for you and where you're at with that now.
That's a great question. I think there is such a balance of tensions that you want to be striving and growing. And in order to do that, you have to be uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. But there also has to be this place where you like who you are and you're content and you want what you have. And you're not always chasing after that next big thing that's never going to fulfill you. Mm-hmm. And so I think it is a balance of, I want to continue to grow. I want my story, if I were to come back here in 5 years, mm-hmm. that I can tell you the rest of the story.
Sure.
And so I never want to stop growing. I never want to stop learning. I'm a lifelong learner. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I want to enjoy the journey getting there.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense. Because it's like that questioning of, okay, am I I challenging myself, but do I need to always be challenging myself? And where's that fine line?
I think, okay, when I get healthy, or when I lose weight, or when I get this job, or when my kid gets this age, or when I graduate from high school, when this happens, then I'll be happy.
Right.
Not to burst any bubbles, but it is truly learning and growing and enjoying the process, because those moments are so fleeting. If you're living for those, then you're going to be miserable, always chasing that next big thing.
There's always something. Exactly. That's a great point. During the Biggest Loser, which it sounds like just like a really rough growth patch, I think for everybody, right? That's the whole point of the show, I think. It seems like you were trying to take a lot on yourself. You weren't going to let anybody help you in that stage of your life. That's maybe not accurate, but that's kind of what I was thinking. Like, you were talking about that struggle of, I'm fine and I can do it, and then
totally guilty.
But you came through that, and you did. It was like almost like you kind of had to get to that place and then say, okay, I need the help, or something like that.
I think that for me, it's very hard to accept help. Mm-hmm. I like to have it all together.
Yeah.
I like to take care of myself. I don't want to impose on anyone.
Sure, yeah.
And I was just in a set of circumstances where I was forced to depend on people and accept help, and I realized that that's okay. And sometimes it takes more strength to put your pride aside and accept the help than it does to just muscle through and say, I'm going to do it alone.
Yeah.
And so, I find that life is so cyclical, and you're continually finding yourself in those places where at times you're the helper, and then at times you're the helpee.
Right.
And both are just part of life. And so it's I have to put the pride away a lot and accept that kind of help.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it seems like in your book, it was like, if there was a message or a lesson to be learned, it was going to hammer you over the head, because you're between injury and, what else, could you be handed? And it's like, you finally to learn that really hard lesson, I think, that is a lot of us struggle with, for sure. One of the things, too, you had written about was that, I guess right after the accident, people didn't know what to say and kind of avoided you a little bit, and that was so painful to hear about. Do you have any advice for folks that are going through great times of loss, and what would be, kind of a good way to support someone?
For those people that I think are around the people that have lost someone, which I'll say that every journey is so different, but I know for me it was most helpful for people to not act like it was the big elephant in the room. Mm-hmm. Let's pretend it didn't happen. Mm-hmm. Whatever loss people are going through, whether it's through a death, through a divorce, loss of a job, you can't pretend it didn't happen.
Right.
And so I think for me it was just those people that would come up and say hi and I'm praying for you, and then would be willing to listen if I was ready to talk, but not pressure me if I didn't feel like talking.
Yeah.
But it was the people that really, even though it was uncomfortable for them, they put that aside and came forth anyway.
Yeah, and that was kind of the person that
those are the people I appreciated the most. And I always say, if you're wondering what to do, like as far as saying, "Oh, call me if you need me," or "I'm here if you need me," and that's great and all. But I say, show up at their house, wash some dishes, do some vacuuming.
Yeah, that's
a
good
real
advice.
Expression of love.
That is, vacuuming is a good expression of love.
That's what
Really,
I'm saying.
that's the bottom line.
Dishes and vacuuming.
I'd love that right now. And you know, one of the things that was so beautiful was the students at the school that you were at the time. It seemed like really held that for you, and sometimes gave you the best. The high school kids kind of were the best supporters.
That was so cool. They just love you.
Yeah.
They just love you. They don't try to make it better. They don't try to tell you helpful quotes that people use. They just come sit on your lap and hug you and tell you I love you.
Yeah, and that's.
They bring you, at the time, Sonic Diet Cokes were my
lifesaver.
They would show up with those, and it was just, that's how they did. They just loved me.
You're like, you knew, that's what I wanted. That's so cool. The power that they have without even knowing it.
I would have never made it without them. Their love and support and they were just joyful, just great, wonderful kids that have grown into being great adults. I had kids turn 30 last week.
Really? I was going to ask you.
I know.
How old they are now? No.
Who knew?
No.
Who knew? Now my students,
You're still here.
They're like turning 25 and having children and 30 or doctors and lawyers.
Are you still in touch with a lot of them?
I am.
Yeah.
I am.
Well, and they knew your whole family, so that's really cool too. It was like a real.
It's real.
Yeah, it's real.
It's real.
Well, and speaking of helpful things people said, I don't know if it was your mom in an email to someone when you were on The Biggest Loser, one of the things you said, it was something to the effect that, I guess let me backtrack. You talk about your faith a lot, and obviously your journey is, without God, I don't think, you would be here. It was, an incredible kind of story of faith, and that you never even questioned. You just kind of, or is that accurate, or?
I think it is accurate. I think that I analyzed every belief that I thought that I had. So it's not, because I never wanted to, where people are like, well, that's not real.
It's not possible. Right.
And so I question everything that I thought I believed.
Yeah.
And I would say I believe it 20,000 times stronger now than I did before. But it was not just this Pollyanna, I love Jesus, so now everything is hunky-dory. Right. Because that wasn't the case. Right. Grief is an ugly, long, hard process.
Right.
But it's possible to come through grief. And some people get stuck in the midst of it, and then that becomes their identity.
Right.
And I never wanted that to be my identity.
That's a good point.
Because my family was love and joy, and the last thing they would ever want from me is to grieve the rest of my days.
Right, absolutely. No, I don't know, that's so true. Because like when you lost all the weight at The Biggest Loser, you said I had to shed that as my identity, and now you couldn't replace it with grief, or simultaneously.
Sure.
Yeah. And the things. One of the things was it's God's plan. People say that a lot for a lot of things in life, and if that's your belief system, that is fine. But I think you said something like, it's not God's plan that my family was taken, but I can make something beautiful out of my life, and that
I think that He has made something beautiful out of something hideous.
Yeah.
Hideous. And like I said, everybody has
It's really
their
complicated.
own. It is.
That's what's.
It's not. I can't wrap it up in a pretty soundbite.
No.
Because it's one of those things that everybody has to. I don't have all the answers.
Right.
I can share what is true for me and what I know to be true because I've lived it. I don't know what you've lived through, and I don't know people's experiences, but I do know the change that has happened in me.
Yeah. And that your faith has gotten stronger from that.
Yes.
Yeah.
My faith has gotten rock solid.
Yeah.
But I hope it continues to grow. So, but that's one of the things that I'm very thankful for, is that I'm very grounded and I have a very crystal vision of what's important and what's not.
Yeah.
And a lot of the stuff that goes on in this world is nonsense.
Sure.
And so you have to just let it go.
The good filter.
The things that people get wrapped up about, I'm just like, wow.
What a gift to be able to just kind of push all that aside. Do you ever get sucked back in, or do you really, you can keep that focus because you've.
Occasionally, I mean, I'll be on the fringe and then like, oh, are you kidding me?
Yeah,
Whatever.
it takes a second. Yeah, that is, I mean.
It is a gift.
It's a gift, yeah,
It's a blessing for sure.
Because, I mean, I think we all try for that and then wake up every day and you're like, I spend another 2 hours worrying about that stupid thing again. But, you know.
But I have to say, I mean, it's a hard process to walk through to get that vision.
Yeah,
and so
you paid your dues.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things that's definitely, you have to look at what are the blessings in the now. What do I glean from this that is really great? Clear vision is one of them.
Yeah. I would love that. We'll get there. Everyone has to get their own journey. Exactly. Kind of one of the other things, you know, that's happened recently is, of course, the tragedy that happened in Boston, and then obviously what happened with your family. And I guess as a mom of 3 young kids myself, something I struggle with is this concept that there's no way you can keep your kids safe, no matter how vigilant you are, just by virtue of being their parents, you know. But obviously we all have to go on in the world, you know. And you live it, and you can't go crazy with worry. So,
I mean,
you know,
I'll be honest.
Yeah.
If I had heard my story, if I had heard about what happened to me, I would have run from the hill. I would have thought, oh, I would never get up from that.
No.
And I would have meant it, because everybody has their currency. What's your currency? My family was my currency. Like, they were the number one.
Yeah.
Bar none. And I would have sworn to you I could never get up from that.
Yeah.
And so that's where my faith is, that it is that big and it is that redeeming.
Yes.
And so I think you learn that you have to hold on to the things of the world very loosely, and you take advantage of every day, and you're responsible, and you take necessary precautions, but you can't walk around with a knot in your stomach worrying about what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
And so, another gift that I think that I have is that I lead a pretty fearless life.
Yeah. Everything's been taken, and you can still go on.
You know, nothing really scares me because I hold on to things very loosely. I'm very appreciative of the things that I have. But it's bigger.
That's that non-attachment, like that Buddhist principle of non-attachment. You know, like just, and I you know, it's like you hear about it, but I don't get it.
See,
you know what I mean?
No,
This is my own personal thing that I read, and I got that actually when I was reading your book, because I was reading a meditation book too at the same time, and I was like, these parallels are amazing.
Really?
It's really like right there. No, it is. I mean, it's really cool. Because I think that you talked about God's grace, and when I was talking to my family about your book a lot, and my sisters and who have children as well, and you know, I just said this, you know, if you don't believe in God's grace, because like you said, nobody can really ever think they can recover from something like that, but you did, and here you are, you know, and so. If that's, I think, really helped my faith as well, to tell you the truth. So, but you know, and I another example of your life, you know, like we kind of were talking about this. If people that want to transform their lives for whatever it is, whether it's weight loss, whether this whole show is about kind of just changing where you are from where you want to be, and they look at you and they say, "She did it. I couldn't have done it." What do you say to those folks? Like, how would you help them?
I mean, I think it comes down to the hardest step is always the first step, and I know that sounds a little trivial, but I will say, like, my rock bottom day, and I'll discuss it later this evening, was February the 13th, 2009, a little over 2 years following the wreck, and that was the day I thought, if this is my life, then I don't pick this, because I get up every day and I feel like I'm surviving this day. And I get up the next day and I think I just get through this day. And I thought, I can't exist out my days.
Yeah.
And so at the point where it became scarier to keep living like I was, then I was willing to do almost anything, including standing on national television.
In the scale.
On a scale. For all the world to know me and judge me.
You went big. Yeah, I know.
But I think that it's one of those things that that night when I decided that I was auditioning for this crazy show, I had no idea my end.
Yeah.
I had no idea how it was going to work out. Not a clue. And that's what you have to, whenever you start a journey, you don't know the end. And sometimes you're going to fail, and sometimes you're going to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not giving yourself the opportunity to fail, you're never living, because you're just in this little cocoon of existence.
Right, right.
And that's ongoing. I mean, it's not like, oh, Abby went on Biggest Loser, Abby lost a little weight, Abby's doing this now everything's perfect. It's ongoing.
Yeah.
The process of growing and learning and I want to serve as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be everything that God intended for me to be.
What does that look like for you now? What's God intended right now?
We recently took a huge leap of faith. I know it's hard to tell, but I am from Texas. I said I talk with a drawl, I don't think with a drawl. But we have moved to Nashville.
Yeah.
And I have no idea what God is going to do with the property that we have. I'm doing a lot more writing. And at this point, I'm back on the first steps of the journey.
Yeah.
So I can't wrap it up in a big bow.
Okay.
But
That was a recent move then?
very recent, in
Okay.
the last few months.
Congratulations. That's huge. You left home. Don't doubt. Have a new home.
I do.
Yeah, that's great.
I'm on a mountain,
Are you?
a wooded mountain.
Oh, that sounds great.
And so I just think the world is really busy and really loud, and this is a place for people to come and be quiet.
Okay.
And so I really envision it being a place where people come and we can share everything that we have.
That you have. Excellent. And what about your speaking? Is this you've been going around and kind of helping people in various ways. Is that a big part of what you do now?
It is huge.
Yeah.
That is what I do now. Some people ask me, well, do you think you'll ever go back to the classroom? And I think my classroom has just expanded.
Yeah, I love that.
And so I get to fly around the United States. This country is beautiful.
Oh.
I get to meet really incredible people all over the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, I don't have all the answers. I don't have this quick fix and this cute little billboard and bumper sticker.
Yeah,
This is going to change your life.
Drink this. Get rich.
I mean, I wish it was like that. I wish
Right.
it were that simple, but it's not. And so when I speak, I can just speak from my heart. I can speak from my experience. And I think that we need that community, and we need to know that somebody else has been there and walked through it. I needed to be around people that had walked through adversity during the grieving process, that I couldn't hang around with the people that were stuck.
Yeah.
I had to see people that had moved forward.
How did you find that community? Or do they just kind of come to you?
I think you have to be very intentional.
Yeah.
I was blessed to have some people that did seek me out, but then I couldn't just sit back and have everybody come to me. And so I was very intentional of finding different circles and different interests and things like that. And I think that's very paramount. And not every group you go to are you going to click.
Sure.
But eventually you will. You'll
You
find
find
somebody
enough.
that you click with,
You keep trying.
and then it's good.
Yeah.
It's good.
You found it. And your mom really has been part of this journey and this new career too. And it sounds like from your book, I just inferred that she's also gotten a lot healthier, just kind of being on this journey with you. What's all that been like?
I mean, my parents lost so much too.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just everything about their world changed too. And so, as crazy as it was, and as private as we all were, and then we found ourselves on NBC.
Yeah. Hi, world.
During
And
it-
Phantom TV. So, I mean, right.
So, but I think it was just this journey of the mind, body, and spirit are so connected.
Right.
And you can be at a perfectly healthy weight and be very unhealthy because your heart is broken.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And so when I talk about the mind, body, and spirit, it's the whole. And so I kind of took it in sections. I worked on the mind, finished my master's, then the body, then the spirit. And so for me, it is about the whole being and finding things that I love and people that I love that challenge me and drive me and make me better. And so when my mom got involved with all this, it gave her an outlet to be a part of my life and also to create some new roles in her life.
Sure, yeah.
And to serve, because she certainly has a servant's heart.
Yeah.
My mom and dad both are just amazing,
It sounds like it.
amazing people. So
That's really neat. And you said at one point in your book that if I could get all the sort of people that aren't healthy into a healthy body and give them a day to walk around, it would give them all the motivation they needed to.
And I think it does, but I think it is a lifelong battle. And I think the key, what I'm learning about maintenance, because you're going to have changes in your life, you're going to have illnesses, you're going to have injuries. I'm coming off of a debilitating back injury. Very exciting, I know. And
Youth.
But it's about setting your life up for success again and realizing that things are going to change perpetually.
Yeah.
The world is very dynamic. It's not static. It will not stay the same, and there will always be change in your life. And it's about adjusting to that change and setting yourself up in that new set of circumstances.
That sounds good. I need a little more detail. Can you write that out for me? A step-by-step plan. Working on that. See, there's your package that you can box up and sell. Is the place? It sounds like in the place in Nashville. Is the place people can come to? Is it like
not yet?
Is that a little premature?
That's kind of the vision.
The vision
is a place for people to come away and just get quiet.
Wow, that sounds like heaven. It sounds great. I'll be there.
Good.
That's wonderful. I appreciate, Abby, so much of your time, and this has been just like a thrill and a joy. So thank you so much for taking the time to be here. And I know we don't want to keep you too long. You've got a great thing coming up tonight we can't wait for. So thank you, everyone, and we'll look forward to another episode of Community Wellness Champions with Activate Phoenixville area.